Now, I love rodeo. Emily and I usually try going to a couple a year. Just a good excuse to get drunk while you watch people hurt themselves for belt buckles before going and trying to stumble through line dances you never really knew the steps to begin with for half the night. It's a good time. But the opening ceremonies have always been laughably cringeworthy. And I can't tell if it's gotten worse as time's gone on or I've just become more aware of it. First, how they've managed to get every rodeo announcer to sound exactly the same is just mind-boggling. And they must all share the exact same script. They're like, we paid a writer to come up with this and we're gonna use this forever. Like most of the rodeo, it's fine. It fits the theme. But the opening ceremony, suddenly they start playing faint patriotic music in the background and the announcer gets all somber. First he goes, if there's any proud Americans in the stands who want to volunteer to help us unfurl our big-ass flag, and don't be shy to show your patriotism. We need a lot of you. It's a really big fucking flag. Then like 6 girls gallop in who I assume are from 4-H, and they're all decked out in their star-spangled rhinestones, and they're carrying pairs of a red flag, white flags, and blue flags. And then the announcer's like, folks, before we get started with this evening's festivities, I'd like to remind you about freedom and the flag that it represents. First, we've got the red, which represents the blood that Donald Trump probably would have spilled for his country had he not been afflicted with those tragic bone spurs. And the white, for all the proud nationalists who fight to make this country a better place for people like us. And the blue, for the feeling I get when somebody wishes me happy holidays instead of saying Merry Christmas. And when you put those colors together, you get the red, the white, and the blue. That represents the freedom of the freest country that's ever been free for freedom. Just so long as you don't look at our prison population, or women's rights, or any of our history. Like the freedom to come out here and enjoy this great game of rodeo, things that other people in other places aren't allowed to do. Like in Mexico, you know, the Mexicans don't have any cowboys or rodeos, because they're not free like us. And the right to bear arms, just not in here at this particular event. That's why you were patted down by a dude named Jim Bob who took your pocket knife coming in the gate. And in addition to the Second Amendment, the other amendment I'm aware of is the First Amendment. And that amendment assures us the freedom to worship in any way we choose. And we've chosen to force you to exercise that freedom by worshiping Jesus right now. Bow your heads. Dear 8-pound, 6-ounce baby Jesus, we want to thank you for all of our freedom. Dear sweet baby Jesus, the one and only true God that anybody should worship with their First Amendment right. We ask that you post your angels around the arena to keep everybody safe, and also the horses and donkeys and chickens, and give guidance and leadership to our leaders of this great nation that we hate everything about but we love so much. Because they have led us astray, but with your leadership, we can get our country back on track. Amen. Then another 4-H girl with a big American flag just blasts into the arena and starts galloping around while they unironically blare courtesy of the red, white, and blue. And then that giant group of proud American patriot volunteers try to run backwards as fast as they can to unfurl that flag, but they're all in like their 60s and 70s and like 4 of them fall the fuck over. And then the national anthem gets played at some point before, after, or during Toby Keith. And then the rodeo can begin and guys get bucked off horses and then they fall off horses onto cattle. And then they do some BDSM stuff where they tie up the cattle. And then a rodeo clown comes out in the middle of the show for like halftime and they do this like little comedic sketch, but it's the exact same comedic sketch they've been doing since Marty Robbins went back to El Paso. And then they'll tell a misogynistic Rosie O'Donnell or Hillary Clinton joke that hasn't been relevant for like 20 fucking years. And then they do a couple crowd participation things where like they throw children on sheep or make men sit in picnic chairs while they get rammed by a bull, or have teams of drunk people try to milk an unruly cow. Then some people fall off a couple bulls and we all go dance. And like, don't get me wrong, it's a good time. There's a reason we always still go. And I get the demographic they're pandering to. You know, I'm not expecting a pride flag and a prayer to Allah or anything. Like, would it hurt them to just update the material a tad and make it just a little less on the nose? Because, like, even if you're down with Jesus and shitty Toby Keith songs, like, it's still gotta feel just a little cringeworthy. Because it genuinely feels like propaganda. And when you're being propagandized, like, you don't want to, like, know it. Even if you're already fully bought into the propaganda, you still want, you know, a little flirting, some pillow talk before it gets shoved down your throat. A little subtlety, a little finesse goes a long way, is all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm off to the rodeo. Pray for me. Or don't. I don't care how you worship.